I am grateful for Thanksgiving. I need a break.
Christmas.
Yeah, and Christmas. I'm grateful for airplanes that bring my children home. I remember sitting in my bedroom after the kids were in bed and just feeling crushed. Thinking, okay, I've got to fix this. Like, how do I fix this? Because I've worked really hard and I spent a lot of time and money on becoming expert in my field, and I love what I do and I'm good at what I do. And how can I be in such a vulnerable position? How can I have worked so hard? I mean, something like less than 1% of the population of the country has a PhD. How can I be in a position like that and be this vulnerable? It doesn't make sense. My name is Dr. Rayanne Ramsey, and I am a part-time adjunct professor at De Anza College, and I was a part-time adjunct professor for a decade and a half at least at Mission College of the History, Humanities, and Philosophy Department. I'm a single mother with 4 children, and I have raised them here. And the stress and worry that comes from waiting to see if my classes will be full or not, or whether I'm going to get the schedule I hope for or not, is tremendous. How's your outline coming?
Good, I'm just knocking out some of these things, finding note cards.
I was slotted to teach a couple of classes at De Anza and found out that one of the classes didn't fill, and so I wasn't going to have it. So I was obviously going to be making less money. And we were in the middle of needing some pretty serious car repairs. Can't get to work without your car. And so without that class, I couldn't pay for the car repairs because you have to prioritize like rent or your house payment. In my case, it's rent. You have to prioritize feeding the kids. Even with my full-time job, I'm significantly underpaid. Like my salary is still underneath the poverty level. We don't have all the luxuries that a lot of families do. We have 2 older cars that are completely paid off. We don't have a car payment. We don't have cable TV. We can afford for the occasional activity and tutors and things like that, but it's because I chose not to buy a home here. Homes are very, very expensive. So I made choices that made living here as doable or feasible as possible. Across the country, we have seen adjunct faculty becoming more vocal and more public, and even trying to organize in response to the unfair conditions and the poor pay or wages. But propaganda is about getting people to agree with you and be on your side, but not just agree with you and be on your side, therefore move to action. You carry the same workload in terms of teaching a class, grading, needing to maintain office hours. You have the same amount of expertise, the same hurdles that you have to overcome to actually be qualified to teach at a university or college. This is the adjunct plight. For the same job, they are paid less. I am incensed. I'm offended. I'm incensed. I'm angry. I think everyone who's ever been a part-timer or who is an adjunct instructor, they're going to be upset. It's insulting.
So ask yourself, does Twitter participate in things like furthering propaganda? Like the planet is dying or climate change isn't real?
You're commuting or commuting to more than one campus, so that's a greater cost. You don't have your own office, so there's the impact or effect of hauling all of your belongings, your books, to and from these various campuses, or it makes it much more challenging to meet with students. It makes it much more difficult to do research. And in the end, there's a toll. About 6 years ago, I was in the local Starbucks and met a woman who was also an adjunct instructor. And she was teaching a class at San Jose State University and a class at De Anza College, and was not making enough money. And she was older, she was in her 60s. And she discovered that she had a chronic illness. And so the stress of the chronic illness, on top of trying to orchestrate classes on 2 campuses and not making very much money and having no medical coverage, sent her into a deep depression. And she had tried to take her own life. With her chronic illness and the poverty, of being an adjunct professor, it was just miserable. There's a sort of irony, a sort of double standard, that there's this prestige and respect for professors, and yet we pay them so little. And in the case of adjunct professors, they have very little benefits, if any, and so we hold them up as the standard, while we as an institution or society allow them to be devalued. And it speaks to a problem in our own sociological fabric, in our own culture. It takes a toll. There's a psychological cost and a physiological cost to living in poverty.